Now, the vast majority of us in the musical theater world are piano players, so you might be saying, but Joanna, I only barely play guitar. There is no way that I could get away with recording it on my song. And I'm here to tell you, I'm in the exact same boat. Hey there! Welcome back to Music Theater Sound Lab, where we talk about all facets of writing and producing great theater music like a music producer. I'm Joanna Burns. I'm a composer, singer-songwriter, and sometime actor, full-time lover of artichokes, pogo sticks, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Today, we're going to talk about some part writing and editing tricks that are going to help make your guitar sound good on your musical theater demo. In musical theater, guitar is like this magical little character that when it rears its head, everyone's hearts flutter and their pupils dilate. I say this from countless days in the BMI workshop where 3 presentations were performed on a piano and the 4th was performed on a guitar and the room audibly oohs and ahs. Now, what's so interesting to me about this is that in the singer-songwriter world, the exact opposite is true. Everyone plays the guitar. As a piano player, I was a real wild card. Regardless of genre, the guitar part that is played needs to be supportive of the subject matter and style, and frankly, just make the texture feel really great. I'm huge on texture, so even if you don't hear the guitar that loud in the final mix, I'm of the mind that feeling it there is more important than hearing the individual notes, particularly for an auxiliary instrument. It's like adding a spice to a dish that you can't quite identify the elevating factor, but all you know is this thing tastes good. Now, the vast majority of us in the musical theater world are piano players, so you might be saying, but Joanna, I only barely play guitar. There is no way that I could get away with recording it on my song. And I'm here to tell you, I'm in the exact same boat. Story time. When I was a kid, I used to take my dad's acoustic guitar and try to figure out chords by ear. And then my brother started taking guitar lessons, and since I played piano, I thought, how hard could this be? I swiped one of his chord charts, and on that sheet were the chords G, C, D, A, and E minor, and I was thrilled. So I practiced those chords, just those chords, wrote many songs around them, and rode that out for like a few years. Now, I have grown just slightly since then. I now know 9 open chords, thank you very much, and I can fake my way through barring a few more, though my technique is still a travesty and my precision leaves much to be desired, but that's where Logic Pro comes in. Today, I'm going to track the acoustic guitar part to a song I wrote with my collaborators, Justin Anthony Long and Joël René Scoville, for a technically untitled project that we're working on about the flophouses of New York City. They're writing the book and lyrics, and I'm writing the music. You'll hear the lead vocal and everything else in place since we do have a full draft of this song, but I'll be retracking just the guitar for our purposes here today. As you can see, this is really not an optimal environment. I am not in a sound studio. I'm not in a sound booth. I have a couple of inexpensive panels that I got off of Amazon, kind of affixed to the wall, and this is really my bedroom that I sleep in. So all of that is fine. Just make sure that your guitar is tuned. First, let's record a take. As you can see, I've got a capo on here. I'm just doing what I can do to get this ball rolling. I'm gonna go right from the top of this song. Got home from Vietnam, life was over before it began. Lost my friends, lost my mind, didn't feel like a man. To the house, why to the kids, I had nowhere to go. I believe when Uncle Sam told me I'd be a hero. Ain't got a lot, just 4x6, a door, 3 walls, and 1 line to show me everything I'm missing. Never meant to stay, but times were hard and I got stuck on a dead end street. Waiting until I get back on my feet. All right, so I don't know how good that was. I think it was probably kind of maybe terrible. There were a lot of mistakes in that. I'm gonna take one ear off. That just helps me hear myself a little better. I'm gonna do another 2 takes, which you really don't need to watch. We can fast forward through this, but here we go. So here I know it looks like I'm recording over what I just did, and visually I sort of am, but when I do this in Logic, it creates what's called a take folder. So once I'm done, I'll have a whole stack of takes that'll be neatly organized in a drop-down format, and I'll be able to choose my favorite parts of each. Logic even crossfades the sections for me. Cutting in here, that take was extra bad. I'm gonna go back and I'm actually gonna mute my lead vocal because it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. I'll mute my whole stack of vocals. You can see I've got this big old stack going on. These vocals come in later, but I'm gonna mute this for now because it's kind of messing me up. I can't hear myself all the way. Incredible. So now we're going to comp this down. Comping is just comparing and compositing of the best parts of what you just did. I'm not going to do a million takes because this is going to be pretty buried in my mix ultimately, so I'm not really worried about that. And also I'm going to edit the heck out of this thing. I feel like the 3rd take maybe was the best one overall, but we'll see. So right in there, I'm rushing already. Let's see, did I do it better on another take? Did. I think I liked it better here, and then I liked the little pickup better here. Well, maybe not. So you can see that already the rhythm section completely buries what I'm doing, and that's sort of how I'm approaching this particular song. Once we get into this later section, I'm just not worried anymore. I think that that's pretty much where I want to be as far as not being a perfectionist and just getting a good texture in there. That's what I'm looking to achieve. Close enough for horseshoes. I'm gonna go back in, but you don't need to watch the rest of this comping. Now that I have a take that I'm happy with, which is mostly edited in the beginning because it was much more exposed, I'm gonna go ahead and flatten and merge these regions. That means that instead of having a bunch of chops of different audio, I'll have one continuous region. But before I do that, I'm gonna duplicate what I've got so I can always refer back to this version of the edit if I ever need to. Flatten and merge. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn on Flex Edit. Flex Edit is your best friend. Flex Edit is sort of a mode which allows me to get into the nitty-gritty of my audio. So I'm going to turn that on. I have 3 or 4 different places that I need to look to see if my flex is on. So one of those places is up here in this top area. The other is the actual track, Enable Flex. And there I can see that it turns on. And if I double click on my region, I can look at that down below. So then these little lines appear. And what's great about these lines is that this is what allows me to move my beats where I need. So if I've hit something early or late, boom, 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 I fix it. Let's use our ears first though. Right away I can hear the second hit is a little bit late, but look, so there's my line and here's where I want it to be. If I drag up here, it's going to drag my whole chunk of audio. Don't want that. Just literally want this little hit. If I drag a little bit lower down, it turns into 3 little cursors, kind of, 3 little friends. And I can drag that, and that will move just that one piece. Let's listen to that. A little bit early. Might be the pickup. The pickup is a little bit late, too. And so is my downbeat. That sounds better already. Let's keep moving in that direction. This was slightly early as well. Okay, so now sometimes if you move one hit, you're going to notice that the other hits still sound off. Or you'll move one hit and suddenly it just sounds bad still, but in a new and exciting bad way. Sometimes that's because a couple of the surrounding hits might be off. Let me fix that. I can see that at 5:33, little bit behind, which then makes the next beat feel ahead or behind, depending. This is pretty off as well. Kind of bad. So here's something that I can also do. Sometimes the analysis is not where I want it to be. I don't want to move this part of the waveform. I want to move this part, let's say. I can get rid of the line that I don't want, hit this X, and include a line that I do want by just clicking on it. So let me move it from this anchor point and see if that helps. Okay, so if you get this message, do you really want to create a high-speed section? What I did inadvertently was to kind of smash a little area of audio together. This is not what I want. I've condensed it so much that it's created, quote, a high-speed section, like all of a sudden. So no, I don't want that. Undo. So instead of moving the entire region, and instead of moving just like this much of the region, I want to move basically from where I am until the next anchor point. So I've got an anchor point right here. And what I want to do is move this, stretching away from the anchor point, but letting everything else move in relation to what I am touching. So I'm going to let this single cursor area do my work. So here I go, pulling back, and you can see that this area to the left is now moving in relation to what I'm moving. It's not just smashing it into oblivion like I did before. Let's listen. Still a little bad. I hear ba-do-da-doom. Oh, look at that. This little piece is late. Let's drag it. Pretty good, but then the beat after that is late. This song for me is all about the pocket, so it's really important to me that especially the big beats lock in together. Some of the smaller beats can kind of scoot under the radar more, but even that. So you don't need to watch the rest. I'm just going to go in and manually do each of these sections. Okay, great. I did the brunt of my minutia kind of work. Let me duplicate one more time so that I can save this version of it. Also, I want to bake in my flex edit. So I don't want this to revert back to its original state once I turn off the flex option. I want to bake it in. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to duplicate one more time, and I'm going to choose to bounce this in place. I'm going to leave it on the selected track, but I'm going to relabel this as guitar flexed. That's how I like to call it. And I'm going to leave most of this alone. My destination is the selected track. Amazing. Now I'm able to turn off my flex edit. And when I do that, I still have access to all of the things I just did. But if I were to go back one duplicated layer, my old stuff is still there. If I feel like that was a bad edit that I made, or actually I want it to be a mess, I could do that. So when I bounced this down, I also baked in the EQ and compression and a little bit of reverb that I already had kind of on this file. So that's something that I'll talk about at another point in time, but I just mostly wanted to show you the actual editing of the instrument to show you that you absolutely can do this. Let's listen to what we did.
Got home from Vietnam, life was over before it began. I lost my friends, lost my mind, didn't feel like a man. Back to my house, wife took the kids, I had nowhere to go. 'Cause I believed when Uncle Sam told me I'd be a hero. Ain't got a lot, just 4x6, a door, 3 walls and one light to show me everything I'm missing. Never meant to stay, but times were hard and I got stuck on a dead-end street, waiting until I get back on my feet.
Just a side note, I always do guitar last since I'll have to replay it if I want to change the tempo or the key or anything like that. So I'd advise the same for you if you use this highly edited approach. And hey, if you're a guitarist, play your skilled parts, and please do make a fool of me. I'm just telling you that if that's not your skill set, there is another way. Anyway, I hope that any of that could be helpful to you. Please feel free to chime in with any questions or perspectives in the comments below. And if you're not already part of the tribe, hit that subscribe button for more insights into the intersection of musical theater, music production, and songwriting. See you next time.